What's up, kings and queens? This is Terrill, and we probably haven't met yet, but I'm here to tell you my story about COVID-19. I'm walking you through my beginning symptoms, how I felt, how I was in denial, how I felt once I got it, how my kids felt after they got it, how the testing went, how much weight I lost, what my friends thought about it. Welcome to the channel. This is not a video that I would normally do, but I actually had friends that encouraged me during the process to make a video to encourage others that they can beat this, to also encourage others or, educate people that this thing is real, that this thing is taking people out and that you can survive it. My word to you is that if you're watching this and you're wondering if you have COVID, just go get a test, right? Pay attention to the symptoms. This thing works differently in everyone in a different way. The most important thing that you can do to overcome any sickness is know that you've already won mentally. That's where all wars are won or lost from the start in your mind. So without further ado, here we go. I am recovering at this point, so the worst is behind me. It's been pretty bad though, so I'm gonna walk you through the beginning to the current state. Let me say that I struggled with whether I even wanted to make this video or not, but I figured that it would help some people, many people, with being careful, symptoms, being able to recognize what they are, what they aren't. Alexa, bedroom lights 100%. But here's what happened to me. Many of you know that I work out a lot, and working out it's a lifestyle for me. I'm careful. I'm super careful about, masking up and avoiding crowds, making sure that I'm wiping things down, washing my hands, keeping things clean, covering my nose, all that stuff. November is the night of the 18th, and I felt a cold chill come over me. It was just like my entire body shook. I knew something was different in that moment, but I didn't know what it was. I was kind of cool, kind of chilly. I had a jacket on, but I was also drinking something cold. It was a protein shake, so I just thought, it's cold, I'm chilly, and I'm drinking something cold. Bad combination. So I just kind of shrugged it off. Friday comes around, I feel okay. The weekend gets here, I don't feel so hot, so I start getting the chills. I get hot, I get cold, I'm trying to shake it, and I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, this is a really odd feeling. I've probably never felt this way in decades. There was no need to look in the medicine cabinet because I don't really carry medicine in the house, right? I have no ibuprofen, I have no Pepto, I have no thermometer. I just got Band-Aids like a couple months ago, but when it comes to first aid, I'm the worst because I just don't get sick until a few days ago. So I actually get a call from my brother, and he's like, man, you all right? You don't sound good. I said, yeah, man, I think I just got a little bug. I'll be all right. I'm gonna lay down real quick. So we talked later, and I said, nah, man, this thing ain't going nowhere. So he said, man, let me tell you what I do. Let me tell you what I do when I get it. I get some Theraflu, and I get some of that lightning in a bottle, I think is what he called it. He like lightning in a bottle. So my dad makes wine, right? I think that's what he's talking about, but I'm not sure. But he's like, I put a little bit of lightning in a bottle with the Theraflu, I stir it up. So he said, get you some of that. He was like, I know you don't skimp on the Theraflu, cause you be cheap sometime. I know you'll pick up both of them and you'll say, well, they got the same thing, He said, trust me, you want the quality brand on this one. So I don't skimp, I get the Theraflu. And I go home and I ingest that chunk like a madman, because I'm like, I'm just ready for this to be gone. I'm gonna take me some Theraflu, I'm gonna be good. Nope. While I'm at Walgreens, I get me some ibuprofen. I Emergency, which is a vitamin C liquid drink, and I also was looking for a thermometer. The cheapest thermometer that they had was, gosh, $69, something like that. So I ordered me a good old contactless thermometer from Amazon, and it showed up a few days later. So I knew I was running a fever, but I don't know how high it was or what the temperature was, so I just had to deal with it. One thing I was super grateful for was my bed. So I bought this bed a couple of years ago, and I didn't skimp on it. I went super comfy, and I have this this incline for the ability to sit up or go to zero gravity or what have you. Now granted, most of the time I just get in the bed and go to sleep, and I'm so glad that I remembered that I even had this capability on this bed. But while I stayed in bed most of the time, here's some of what, it's not all of there, but first thing, mask, right? So anytime I'm out of this room, I was wearing my mask. AirPods, because I'm not trying to hold the phone, or I just kind of connect and go with that. And I had a mix between the Ricola and the Halls and the Advil, ibuprofen, and then Theraflu. Why it's in the bed? Because I have a Hydro Flask where I could just pour it into my cup and just make me a little brew right here on the side of the bed. And then I had this joker here, which show y'all I'm good. Yeah, so I ordered this contactless thermometer off of Amazon. It's been real good to me. Definitely been hydrating. Oops. Water there. Here, I got these to snack on because, with dehydration, other things, may need to keep circulating, if you know what I mean. I get a little work done. Watch a little bit of, YouTube videos, because I have like 1,000 videos in my watch later section. When you're sick as a whole, you definitely want to make sure that you hydrate. Now, let me jump back to this timeline, because the last time I worked out was November 20th, right? It was an ab day. Today is December 5th, 6th. Today is December 6th. So it's been a while since I worked out, right? And I'm the type of person that I work out every single day regardless. So on November 20th, I got up, I felt like crap. I worked out. My first set of my ab routine, I promise you, I wanted to quit. I've never wanted to quit on a workout. I've never felt that I was about to pass out on a workout, and I literally felt that I was going to. My body was already hot and already fighting off whatever virus it had. I called myself gonna power through it and just show it who's champ. But my body's working so hard to fight the illness off, and I'm working against my body by adding more heat and more work for it to do. So I had to realize that I had to let it heal. Now granted, in this course of time, I stopped doing that, but I still was upright every day for a certain amount of time, and I made sure that I got outside of this dwelling environment and made sure that I took a walk. No matter how cold it was, or if it was rainy, whatever the conditions are, I took my behind outside, because it's a part of my mental sanity, clarity, and I think it's a big part of your psyche, of knowing that you're gonna overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with. 8 days later, it's my daughter's birthday. I mean, you can imagine the excitement of a 15-year-old birthday coming up, and COVID or not, she's excited, so she's knocking on the door, letting me know what time it is. I felt good on that Saturday. So this was Saturday, November 28th. I got up, got myself together, got dressed. We did everything that she and her sisters wanted to do. And I just wanted everything to be over in a couple hours, but it was over like when it was supposed to be. So pretty much lasted all day. I get home and I'm like, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna eat me some soup and just let that be that. So that's when the vomiting started. I ate me some soup. I knew when I finished it and I felt it in my stomach, I was like, okay, what can I do to stop myself from throwing up? So I'm gonna eat a banana really quickly because it helps my upset stomach. So I ate a banana really quickly and it didn't do anything. Actually it did. It gave me a sweet vomit experience, right? I never vomited anything sweet before. So that was kind of good. It's soup. How simple can you get? So I was like, let me get down to the rawest part. The next day, I'm like, okay, well, let me try some tomato soup and a sandwich. Like a really, really light sandwich, not a lot of ingredients. So I tried that the next day. Same thing. So my vomiting went on for Saturday, Sunday. Monday rolls around. I'm like, you know what? Like, finally, appointment time is here. So I go to my appointment. It's at urgent care. I walk in, fill out my paperwork. I finally get to the back, and it's about to go down. November 30th, I'm back in the back. I'm waiting. This lady comes in. I answer questions, 3 times. I answered questions with the nurse. I answered questions with the nurses, the RN and the doctor. And then I answered questions for the nurse practitioner, which came in finally, as the person to see me. And I got really annoyed, right? I got really annoyed because I felt that the nurse practitioner was trying to force diagnose me. She didn't mention anything about what I said I was experiencing. She just went with what she wanted to say. I never mentioned body aches. My body never ached during the entire time. She mentioned coughing, which I didn't have excessive coughing. I had, this is the coughing that I experienced. The coughing that I experienced was when I take a deep breath. At that point right there, the back of my throat would tickle and it would force me to cough because it was just uncomfortable. So that wasn't the deal. She just kept naming off these things that I never mentioned that sounded like she was trying to diagnose me for COVID, but I never said anything about the things that she was mentioning. So we get into this, debate about what it is that she's saying versus what it is that I said. We get past it, and then she's like, well, we need to give you COVID tests, and we can't give you a flu test. So I'm like, I think I got the flu. Pretty sure I got the flu. So why won't you just give me the flu test? Why won't you just give me the flu test, right? So she says, well, in order for us to give you a flu test, we can give you the flu test, but it doesn't help us to give you a flu test if you haven't come in within the first 3 days of the symptoms, because you've really gotta get ahead of that, and we can't prescribe you anything this late in the game with the flu. So you telling me if I'm coming to urgent care and I'm coming to seek help for conditions that I know that I have, I can only come here and get tested to be seen, for you to say that we can't do anything for you, go home and rest peacefully? That's all you can do for me? You got no antibiotics, no, none of the prescriptions that you can give me and make me feel good, make me feel good. That's all I want to do. So she's like, nope. I was like, all right. She was like, well, I recommend that you take a COVID test. I was like, well, if I take the COVID test, you can't do nothing for that either. So I'm sitting there in this dilemma. I'm thinking about what my brother has told me about his experience with the COVID test. Other close friends that have taken the COVID test. Now in COVID, you get one or two things. You get a mild and gentle person, or you get a shover, right? A shover is a person that goes straight up your nose like that with all the force that they can get, and they don't give up about how you feel or anything, right? My homeboy sister, she's one of them. She talks. She's in the medical field, and she talks about it all the time. She's like, no, I go up there, up there. So I'm not trying to get one of those. So I'm stuck in this dilemma. What do I do? Do I get the COVID test? Do I just go home and never know that I ever had it? So, and then I'm thinking about all of the people that I've heard, many people, not all, but many people that I've heard. I'm talking about people that I know have endured pain before. They said they will never do this thing again. They will never take another COVID test. So I'm like, well, it's everybody's experience. And then the nurse practitioner is telling me, she says, well, everybody's different. You know, it's uncomfortable, but it's not painful. It's like, how you sound right now? How do you really sound? Pain is uncomfortable. You sound like, to me, you talking about the same thing. So she's like, I'm gonna leave out the room. I'm gonna give you a chance to think about it. Meanwhile, this other lady comes in. She's the best part of my day, hands down. Older lady. She tells me, come with her and take my chest x-ray, stick my hands out, lean up against the thing, pretend like I'm flying like Superman. I felt amazing because, I needed to feel like Superman. I feel like Superman most of the time, but I wasn't feeling it. She kind of reactivated that, in my mind. So taking chest x-rays was a part of their protocol as well. So I go back into the room that I'm in. Nurse practitioner comes back in, and I say, how can you I need you to assure me that you're gonna be nice and gentle with me. Can you do that? She said, well, I said, because everywhere that I've heard about this COVID test, from a 1 to 10, I hear 20. I just need to know where can you kind of range me? She's like, everybody's different, but I can tell you this, my husband took it, and he would say it's a 20. He already told me after he got it done the first time, and he tested positive, that he will never get it again. Okay, you just made me feel real good. And she said, I took it, several times, and, for me, it's like a 1. I said, okay, so I'm thinking about where the world is. I'm thinking about how I am as a person, how responsible I am for people that I care for. And I'm like, I've endured some pain before in many facets. That worst case scenario to make for a good story. So she says, just lean back, take a deep breath, and just, I'm gonna count to 10. So I lean back, I take a deep breath, I close my eyes, and I just take myself somewhere else. And that thing was horrible, horrible. Whatever deep, dark secret that I had deep inside of me, it came out in that room. Fortunately for you all, it was only me and the nurse practitioner, so you all will never know what I share. But it is torture. That's what it is. Will I be tortured in order to make sure that those are around me are well? I probably will. So that's what I did. She said that, it's the WellStar network, so everything is loaded up in your chart, which is cool. You have access to all of your records. So she said that 48 hours I would have my results back. So I left out of there. I went home, and as I stood about 10 feet away from my kids and told them to stay away from me, make sure that they continue to wipe and Lysol everything down, that this is how things went. And I gave them the play-by-play and how I had a shover and how she shoved me and how painful it was, and they died laughing, right? And meanwhile, due to my episodes of throwing up, I was on this what's called brat diet, right? It's bread. No, it's not. It's not bread. It's bananas. Rice, applesauce, toast. You can also add Greek yogurt and mixed nuts, and that's what I did. So I was eating that starting that Monday, and I ate it for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a good part of Thursday, right? That was it. And of course, continued my Gatorade water hydrating stuff. Anyway, Wednesday comes around, I get a call back, and for some reason, I don't know, I think I was asleep or something. So the other thing in this is I was tired all the time. I was sleepy. I would sleep the day away, the night away, and I could be doing nothing and just be tired, and that's just so not me. I sleep, get 6 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, and I'm ready to go. Not this time. So they called me back. I missed the call. I called them back, and finally I get to talk to Dr. Doe. Dr. Doe says, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I really enjoyed your voicemail. So powerful, so entertaining. And I also wanted to let you know you tested positive for COVID." I said, "Really?" He says, "Really. So continue to quarantine. I need you to quarantine for 10 days, but I know that you've already, been starting that process. So just, make sure you continue the 10 days out, which I will be done come Monday of this upcoming week, which will be the 8th or 9th, I believe. So that part will be over, but so he shares that, and then I say, okay, well, you know what? That kind of explains it all. How can a person that has been sick for as long as I have, that doesn't get sick for as long as I've not been sick, which has been probably about 15 years since I've been sick, and to be sick to this degree, something that I've never experienced before. So I'm like, it makes sense, but it doesn't. Here's why. It makes sense because it's something that I've never dealt with before. It doesn't make sense because I didn't have many of the symptoms, right? So there are the symptoms that you supposed to have for COVID. You're not supposed to be able to smell. You're not supposed to be able to taste. I was just fine in both of those categories. I did not have shortness of breath. That little cough thing, like I said, it was just when I inhale, right there is normally when the back of my throat started to tickle and it forces me to cough. I did experience vomiting for 2 days, about a week into when I was feeling horrible. I was fatigued. I had no body aches. I had no diarrhea. I had no congestion of the respiratory system. I was breathing just fine. And, no shortness of breath, no congestion issues, and no runny nose. So I had no runny nose up until like the vomiting started. So I think like right after that, it wasn't consistent. It was just like a little bit here or there. So, but yeah, so I kind of, this is why I thought I had the flu, because I ruled all of that out. So you take that list of things, I probably had 3 of them, and the chest x-ray came back negative. Like this whole list of things that they test for outside of COVID itself, everything else that they test for came back negative within the COVID realm. So the positive thing on it is that I've turned the corner, I've power slided into the home stretch, and I really grateful for that. I beat it, Many people, when they go under that oxygen mask, that's the last thing they ever see, So, though I'm here in bed resting and kind of quarantining, I know that I'll be back. And I also think to myself, what if I didn't take care of myself in the manner that I do and work out the way that I do? How would this have treated me had I been neglectful towards my body and my self-care? I don't know, right? I can tell you this, COVID don't care. COVID don't care if you work out. COVID don't care if you got $1 million in the bank. COVID don't care if you got 6, 8, or 12 pack. COVID don't care. It just doesn't, right? I thought that if I get COVID someday, that I'm gonna be one of those people that are, be like the athletes where you won't even be able to tell I have it. And I'll just live life with it and work out and I'll be fine. That's a lie. So I told about 5 people about my case, my diagnosis of COVID. And that's only because these are people that I talk to pretty regularly. These are people that, call to check up on me, or people that I deal with on an ongoing basis, and people that are just, in my life and the voices that I often hear. So if someone calls me and they say, hey, how's your day going, or what are you up to? They knew I wasn't feeling well. Some recommended that I go get tested, right? Which is the responsible thing to do, right? So I didn't feel like I needed to make a major announcement for it and let other people know. I just don't want people concerned or worried about me, right? Because there's not a whole lot that anyone can do anyway. And of the people that I shared, like I said, it was only about 5 people, but the people that I shared it with, they were super shocked. I'm laughing because one of my friends, he pretty much cursed COVID out, right? As soon as I told him I tested positive, he cursed COVID up, down, sideways, and throwed it out the window, He was just that pissed, right? And as he and I began to talk, it's the thing, COVID doesn't care. Back to what I said earlier. So the thing that we have to do is be responsible. So do the responsible thing, be responsible. And for me, the responsible thing that I did was immediately scheduled testing for my daughters. They suddenly became a little concerned, not with COVID, they were concerned about the shover. So they went in, we went in. They did not have a shover, they had a kind person, and they all did super well, to the point to where I love how they came together and they comforted each other through the process of the uncertainty of the shoving. And it's a scary time, right? It's a scary time to not know what this thing is, scary time for them not to know what's going on. And even when I shared with them what I had dealt with, and I told them I had some good news and some bad news, and as soon as I said that, they were like, I know you don't have COVID. I know you don't have COVID, Dad. I know you don't. And I said, well, the good news is that I won. I'm always winning. The bad news is that you all got to go get tested. And they said, why do we need to go get tested? And I said, it is the responsible thing to do, right? So that's what I want you to know, and that's what I want you to remember. It is the responsible thing to do. One hilarious moment, right, that happened when my daughters finished filling out their paperwork and they turned it back in and were waiting. My youngest, she's about to be 13. She's getting ready to go to the back. And she's tensing up, she's getting scared, she's thinking back on the story and my experience that she's heard. And she said, Daddy, I don't need to be here right now. This is not necessary. I don't need this right now. I said, Kyla, you do need this right now because it's the responsible thing to do. So, yeah, that was very womanly of all of them, how they just walked in there, you know, consumed it all and walked out with their heads up high, chest out, and with all the confidence in the world. So big ups to them. So I want to encourage you all to be responsible and do the responsible thing. You know, we all want to have fun. We're all tired of being cooped up. You know, we want to see our families, but what if you don't get the opportunity to see them again? Or what if they don't get the opportunity to see you again? Right? It's been pretty crappy for all of us. But as I told, you know, people, those that I know, those that I love, this has been a bad year, but I've had a lot of years that have been worse than COVID. To be honest, I've had worse years in 2020. I don't like raise my hand and say like I volunteer for it, but I got some years that made 2020 look pretty heavenly from my perspective, right? But that's just me. I think you look at it holistically and you know that, yeah, things could be better, but they could also be a lot worse too. So I want to say I'm grateful for friends, you know, friends like you, friends that have called to check on me, friends that call me, check on me in the good and bad times, and people that have touched, connected with my heart, and that will be there for a lifetime without the shadow of a doubt. I know many of you probably wonder, as I have not wondered long and hard about it, but many of you may say, oh my gosh, like where did it come from? If you're so careful and you're so, you know, thoughtful about the things that you do before you do them, how did you get this? I don't know. I mean, I've thought about who I've been around and what I've done and who I've contacted, and it all makes sense to me in a way that I was careful. None of it makes sense to me if I'm looking at it from a place of negligence, right? So I don't really have a good answer to that. I can say this, that I think when I'm going to the store to pick up yogurt or almond milk or produce, right? When I picked it up, someone else had to touch it in order to put it in its place. And though I come home and wash my hand and wash my fruit and, you know, wipe down things, you're bound to miss something somewhere, right? You're touching doorknobs and handles and the little part where you put your ATM card up in there. Even though I just got a contactless credit card where I just tap, but all the machines aren't able to accept that. So until everybody's universal doing the same thing, this is still gonna be the same. If we got people that wanna still go and travel, and it's necessary sometimes. If we still got people that are gonna not adhere to the rules and not want to be locked down or whatever the case is, then none of this will ever go away. So I think it takes us a unified system. It takes a unanimous agreement to make this all happen. And the last thing I want to say is I cannot wait to work out, right? I'm probably 2 weeks into not working out. And you may not be able to tell from this shirt, but to me, this shirt has a lot of space in it. I've lost 21 pounds in 14 days. That is not healthy. And I work hard for every pound that I get. It's hard for me to get my weight, right? I eat well, I work out super hard. And I mean, I know I'll get it back, but I say to myself, imagine if I wasn't in the position to have 21 pounds to lose. Like, I still got a little bit of, physique, a little bit of muscle left, but 21 pounds in 14 days is nothing to discard. So that's all I got for you. I just wanted to share my dealing with COVID, how it treated me. My prayer is that you don't get it, right? So I don't want you to have to deal with how it treated you or anything like that. But, just in case you think you're invincible, I want to let you know that you're not. So that's all I got. I just want to say be safe, be careful, take care of yourself and each other. And we'll see you on the best side of this thing,